Hey everyone, welcome to this month's NeQter Town Hall on the 5th of May. We get a couple, it's Cinco de Mayo today. That's very fun. It's also Revenge of the 5th, since yesterday was May the 4th be with you. So today we're going to be reviewing a couple things just since we're kind of in the middle of major NeQter update. There's a lot of stuff I want to show you for version 3 of the platform, but we're still wrapping some stuff up on that front, doing some testing. So in the coming month, probably next month, I'll have something tangible to show and highlight the new feature set, the new look and feel of NeQter. But I thought today we do a little something different because usually I kind of rehash the different updates month to month. But because we've been adding so much bandwidth to the version 3 rollout, we've had some smattering of updates in the past couple months. So don't want to bore anybody by going over what we've already gone over. So wanted to do a little bit of spring cleaning today, and then we're also going to highlight a client story um, of one of our or the uh, one of our clients successfully getting L2, and there's been many clients going the L2 route, getting their certification. So going to start talking about some tips and tricks of NeQter, talking about recent and upcoming events, and then we'll talk about that client story. So there's a lot of I'm just looking at the list of people on here, people that have been using NeQter for years, know NeQter through and through, some new people, but there's always going to be something that might be overlooked or might be less common, or some things that people have forgotten about. So I wanted to cover a few of those today that I think people might miss. I support some things that they commonly see that people might miss, and then obviously want it to be collaborative. So if there's something that um, you have thought about that uh, you recently remembered, or going through the tool, or came across and go, oh man, that's right. That's something that I used to do and forgot about, or even if it's just I saw this part of the tool, I'd like to know a little bit more. Feel free to drop in the chat and comment. But some of the things that I wanted to cover, some of them are new features, some of them are old features, and then we have a lot of things in between. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, which might sound like a duh, but the search bar is something that I see a lot of people underutilize, uh, or forget about. Even whether it be the in the discover area, it's a lot more prevalent, but then even on the dashboards. So going in, and because majority of the indexes are parsed, it's very easy to go and to filter with the search bar, even with just wildcard values. So I'm just going to look, just because it's data I know very well, our NeQter Google Workspace index. Well, of course, I can just search my full email, and I've done that before, and I can just search the full string, of course. But I can also, there's a bunch of different, and you can look this up too. Kibana query language, um, KQL, to maybe look at some more bespoke or custom wildcards that you can use, with the question mark or putting things in quotations. But um, even just using an asterisk after putting in just a few characters, even if you don't remember, the full slug of something is very helpful for quick and easy searching. Or if you're putting things in too specifically, it might omit because it might not catch certain results that you might be looking for. So again, very, very simple thing to call out, but the search bar is your friend. And one of the things that we added a few updates ago was, of course, including search bar query values into the saved search. So before it was the saved searches were limited to, kind of adding these filters either by uh, adding filter and selecting field and selecting operator and selecting value, or of course coming into the data set here and clicking on something. So if you wanted to, and there are some things that you might want a wildcard value for, say, um, file paths. So instead of having specific, because of course when it comes to file paths, it takes the whole string. You might just want up to a certain folder and then put a wildcard, and then anything that gets touched within that folder you might want to track, from a search standpoint, and that's where the search bar comes in and wildcard values. So just wanted to point that out for starters. Secondly, talking about the Discover page again, it's a feature that we recently came out with a couple updates ago, unique count, and I want to make sure, maybe I didn't do a great enough job kind of explaining the benefits of unique count, or how to properly leverage it. And something else on the Discover page I wanted to cover was also just the search saving and organization. So something I wanted to highlight right off the bat, even before I get to um, unique count, is when you create a saved search, you don't necessarily have to have filters in the search. What I mean is, sometimes you just might want a particular view, like this view here. This isn't the default view of this index. I've added certain columns in here that I want to look at when I'm potentially looking for something. This specifically is a search I made called Google Countries, and I just want to see the email, the event that was that occurred, and maybe the geocode, the geo country. So I added these columns, and I saved this as a saved search. So there's no filtering. I'm not paring down the data. I'm just kind of reorganizing it. And that's the benefit and the value of a saved search. Now, of course, we don't want to get trapped here. One of the biggest things is opening up something and figuring out how to get back out of it. So um, right now I have the discover slash, and then it has the save search here. If I click on discover again, it's gonna reset and take me back to the main view. So every single index is always going to have the time and then the source as columns. But from adding a column standpoint, available fields, there's two ways for us to do it. The easiest way is seeing the columns here and clicking this add function. So popular is going to be ones that are common that it suggests. So if I just add um, actor email, we're going to have timestamp and then the user. And this specifically, we're looking at workspace. It's going to be the same for for other things, like 365 or even Active Directory or what have you. But say I wanted to add a couple more fields, event name, and adding in this area here is if we kind of know maybe what the field is, and if we want to add it. Another method of adding the columns here is if we expand out. this log where we can see all the different parsed fields of this index, then, seeing is believing. So I can come over here and go, oh, actually, I do want, funnily enough, I was editing the town hall slides. So maybe this is going to be a search that is going to help me identify different files in Google Drive that I want to look at. So I'm going to go toggle column and table, and that's how we can add that column in here again. So I don't need to add a filter. If I like this view and I want to call this up as a search, I can just save this as a new search and get this this kind of this new organization. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to label this Google Drive files, and I'm going to confirm that save. And now we're going to move into talking about the unique count. So unique count is snuggled up over here between open and between alerts. And if I click on this, it's going to come up with nothing because I need to run what I want to look at. And what unique count is going to allow me to do is it's going to let me focus in on all of the unique count or unique values within a particular field. So if I run actor.email, it's going to show me all of the different actor emails that have occurred. So in the data set. So this is, these are all of our, different employees and what have you. So if I actually expand this out, we're going to get into different users that might be just like accessing files within our drive, or consultants or clients or what have you. So that's what that's going to be helpful to look at. I'm going to, I don't want to dox anybody, so I'm going to go to a country, so I can see. Okay, well, most of everything has been United States, and then there's a couple values from the UK over here, and those are going to be failed login attempts, people trying to access our Google. So this is going to be helpful for from an IP standpoint for different applications, or you have thousands and thousands and thousands of different IP addresses. Well, there's going to be a lot of common ones, but if we wanted to do needle in a haystack and reverse this, now we can see one-offs occurring for different IP addresses. So that's what the unique count is going to help with. It's going to help you bubble up the most infrequent occurring values in a field, because a lot of the dashboards are top 10 or top 20 most common. Well, you might want to reverse that and see, okay, what is a service or a device that's failing once a month, but it doesn't bubble up in my data set. That's what the unique count is going to be helpful for, bubbling up infrequent, uncommon, um, different events or users, or things that you would have to dig for in the data set before we added this feature. Now this feature, unique count, bubbles it up to the top. So um, one of the things that we can do with unique count is click on this filter by results, and it's going to um, add a so this is not that helpful for at least for the IPs, because it does a large list. It does is one of, and then it has every single IP that is within that within the data set. But it helps you to add that filter if that's something that we wanted. So we're gonna delete that. Now with the unique count, there is a report that we can generate, and this report is going to allow us to add multiple saved searches to a report. So I already ran one, so I'm going to pull it up. But just to walk through, add a saved search report, it's going to have you select the saved search and then group by a certain field. So Again, because I made that save search, which just was kind of a view, uh, if I didn't do that, then one of the things to consider is we want to build the columns. We want to build a report of how we want to do it in the search when we build it, and then the report is just going to um, showcase those kind of that work that we already did. So if I do that save search and I just select, group by field countries and I add that, now that's going to add that unique count to an Excel. But I can add as many as I want. And what that's going to do is that is going to tab. I'm just going to bring up this Excel here. That's going to tab at the bottom. It's going to tab and organize um, the different unique accounts. And again, it's just going to tell us, okay, well, what search were we looking at? What is the value and how many of the value are occurring? So that's what that report's going to look like. So I know I've talked about that before, but I just wanted to bring that up again in case a few of you were like, I don't really see how that's useful. I don't know how I could use that. So hopefully this drills down a little bit, helps you understand why a unique account is so powerful. So I'm going to come back out here, and where are my slides? Here we are. So another thing I wanted to cover, just because we've added a couple over time, so I just wanted to talk about all three. Very important for compliance, very important for Section 3.3, audit process failure. We have three methods. I've been talking a lot about the agent down detection just because that's the one that we recently added. But I also wanted to remind everyone again of the other two. So I'll talk about all three: input down detection, agent, and then, of course, for other services like 365, we have a service failure alert that can be turned on. So starting off with, we'll talk about inputs first. So we'll go into settings and we'll go into inputs. And right over at the top here, down detection with this little bell is going to allow us to enable down detection for a certain time frame. This is for all inputs in this area. So this is a universal down detection for all syslog sourced inputs. So right now, if I don't receive logs within a 5-minute time frame, I receive an email alert that informs me as such. The minimum divisible is 5 minutes. The highest we can go to, or the longest length of time, is 1 day. So if I haven't seen something in a day, it sends me an email and says, hey, we are not receiving on the sonic wall input or whatever it may be. So that's the first one. Going into hosts, and my only, I guess, bone to pick with this is it's a little, once you know it's there, you know it's there, but you might click right by it if you're not familiar with the feature. So we're going to go to hosts, we're going to go to agents, and we need to edit the group in order to turn on down detection at the agent level. So if we edit a group, previously we had Windows, Linux, and Mac as three different areas to click. Now we have the events. So when we click on events, here is where we can turn on down detection. There's two methods for down detection. One is going to be inventory down detection. This is going to be from a day count standpoint. And this is purely for, hey, we haven't inventoried an agent in X amount of days. Now, events like Windows logs and metrics and what have you, much more important, they're going to be at the agent down detection configuration over here. The time window, the minimum divisible is 10 minutes for agents. So if we haven't seen, 10 minutes has gone by, we haven't seen logs from an agent within this group, we can receive an alert. And the reason we did it at the group level is there's going to be different priorities that you have for the different groups. So like a servers group, you might get or domain controller group, you might care about 10 minutes. For a user PC, you might kick that up to 24 hours. If I haven't received logs from this user PC in 24 hours, I'm going to I'm going to save it in this group. So it's at the group level, and then there's two different methods of logs, real-time logs, and then just that inventory function. We haven't seen an inventory from a system in a period of days. So that's at the agent level. So we talked about syslog inputs. We talked about agents. Last method, we're going to go to reports. We are going to go to alerts. So here we are. Down detection alert. NeQter has not received information from host XYZ in the last 7 days. So there you are. This is what the alert is going to look like. It tells you information about the system, the IP, the host name, etc. That is what that is going to look like. And we go to alerts, create an alert from a template. And when it comes to, we're going to kick open NeQter, and that is where we've nestled the Office 365 service issues are going to be over here. So service error and service failure. I had a user I just had a session with. They didn't have any logs, but they had a series of service errors on their 365. Their client secret expired, so they needed to refresh that secret on the app. So it was working as intended. However, they hadn't set up the email alerts to know that was happening. Since I'm in this area, we covered this last time, but there's been a series of additional alerts that NeQter has added for NeQter related to like terminal login, failed login, NeQter user login. We actually had a small issue with the demo unit earlier today, and our good guy Chris went in and changed something. So I can actually see support user has been signed into the terminal. That is the new alert that we added for that to indicate that event. So yeah, so hopefully this has been. Hopefully I'm not boring anyone so far, but this is stuff that a lot of people overlook and just want to remind everyone. Kind of not to say like before too late, but it's always the worst when you go and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to go and look at this event or this data, and it's not there because there's been IP changed or there was a service error or something. That's what you don't want, especially again audit time coming up. You don't want that a week before an assessment, and you're not getting the logs that you need to from a certain source. So that is those commonly overlooked features. One more page here I just wanted to talk about. So we're going to talk briefly about NeQter storage. There's a couple things. Of course, there are certain highly prolific inputs that you might be getting a lot of logs from. So dialing back or ensuring that the appropriate log set is feeding into NeQter is highly important. Again, I just had a session with the client, and they were doing file auditing on their file server, and there was massive spikes every 6 hours because of backups. And we go and we look, and the backup service utility, I think that they had 1.5 million events in the last 24 hours, 200,000 of which were user created. Everything else was the backup utility. So in that case, log tuning or maybe going to the source and changing what specific directories were being monitored and tracked is important to pare down the amount of logs that you are sending to the NeQter, or if they're being received on the NeQter, are they being visualized and getting that metadata and taking up more storage? So one thing that users use or sometimes support uses to troubleshoot things is going to be the network packet inspection. So if we're going to go to settings, we're going to go to network, and we're going to go to this guy here. So I have inspector enabled. This is demo system, not a whole lot of logs happening here. This is really for troubleshooting um, issues of sending or receiving logs into NeQter. This itself logs a lot. So this is going to be, lack of a better term, not a runaway train, but it's just going to generate a lot of logs. So only enable it if necessary. Don't have it as an always on, like I do. Don't be me is basically what I'm saying in that case. But then additionally, if possible, from a backup standpoint, if you can push the archives off, the archive storage off instead of local, pushing it off to a network share, then you're going to free up those archive logs on the NeQter and get some storage savings in that department. So just wanted to bring that up. Additionally, last couple things here. I already mentioned the NeQter alerts to configure, those subset of ones related to NeQter access, NeQter terminal access, user login, just kind of auditing the auditing system, so to speak. So those are some additional alerts that were added in. And then I talked a lot about NeQter Comply last time, the compliance tool with the new enhancements. Of course, I'm not going to beat a dead horse in terms of the new areas of identification and environment, but we've been increasingly seeing more and more users, and we're happy. That's why we added the features. More and more users using that part of the tool, exporting the SSP off, providing it to assessors come certification time, and having that SSP format pass successfully, which is, again, that's always been the goal, but you never know until first shots are fired, first assessments happen where, well, is this battle test, is this going to hold up? Not even just single assessor, but every assessor is different. They have their specificities. So we've had a good track record of that getting through assessments. But of course, having all of the parts is essential, in that area. So there are those new pieces, the identification and the environment. However, I wanted to talk about three things real quick: creating revisions, replacing artifacts, and tracking tasks. So, going to go to compliance over here. And again, we'll just quickly reference the identification and environment areas again. These two areas. Now, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's another section I want to briefly mention because again, we to talk to a client, they took over from a previous user, and that user's name is everywhere. Well, they can't own things. They can't. They're no longer part of the company, so they want to replace that out. Well, going and making sure, just talking about spring cleaning, that you're updating and removing user access when necessary. So just constantly, you know, once a month probably, just going to users and make sure, well, do all these people make sense? Is this the level of access that that people need? Do we need to edit and potentially remove certain users or change their permissions? So come in here and make sure we do that. But going back to compliance and going back into that system security plan. So under manage, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Under manage, under settings, here's where we would change the owner of this SSP. So if we need to change the owner or to the name or delete this SSP, here's where we do it. But outside of that, I wanted to talk about we wanted to talk about revisions, because a lot of people sometimes forget that this section exists. This area is crucial for change management of the SSP. So you want to make sure you come in here and at a minimum create that first revision. So when you create a revision, you can select minor or major. Even if you're just having a first pass and you're like, you know what, let's make a 0.1 just to start, just so you can track the change, track the delta between the revisions as you go over time, because then you can come up here and call up previous revisions, show the progress, export that revision at that moment in time, and download the artifacts. The artifacts get versioned under each rev. So they get, kind of cold compressed. They stay with that rev so you can show changes to artifacts over time. I'm going to wrap up in this area here. So there's a question related to logs. I will get to that. Let me just wrap up this this comply area here. So revisions, highly important. When you create a revision, you're also able to provide a description of the revision, and you can, if you want, come in here and one by one describe each change that happened in the tool. Especially if it's a description, comparing response values of compare contrast, mentioning, well, we swapped out this SPA or this user change or this user role change, coming in here and at least and kind of tallying. Now that might be a lot from 1 to 1, so you might just ignore that, but the ability to do that is in here. So that's important. So the question, can we label a revision of the SSP as draft? So you can put whatever description of the revision, however you want to label it. What I guess I'll take a step back and kind of address the fact that whenever you go and you export the SSP as is, like right now, as of this moment, it's going to be a draft. So a revision is just if we want to export that previous committed moment in time. So when we export a revision, it's going to label the revision, in this case 1.0 was committed April 7th. I do get a timestamp of when we exported it out of the NeQter, but the revision itself is going to say revision 1.0, date that the revision was committed. If I go and I just generate a draft, it's going to say draft. It's going to say a draft at the top. It says draft revision. And then at the bottom, each footer, it says draft. So hopefully that is, kind of what you were asking about. Now we can go further. What I like to do, there's a watermark function, and by default it says draft. We can have it say whatever we want, but in this case, I want it to be plastered and say, just so there's no ambiguity, this is a draft. It says draft across the back there. You can also do that if you wanted. We commit revision 1.0. Maybe I just want to put that just so it's blatantly clear, what rev we're looking at. Have that splash across the back diagonally, rev 1.0. Since we're in this area, there's a lot of customizational abilities for the SSP, changing the color, including or excluding certain things. We have this tagged as optional sections. We recommend all of them: cover page, identification, environment, requirements, rev history, appendix, artifacts appendix. But I guess the true optional one is SPRS scoring. Maybe you don't want that to be reflected in the SSP. So, and then we can exclude certain things. Especially, I inside baseball. If you're coming in here and adding comments to stuff and you don't want that reflected in the formal export, we're going to check this good guy here, exclude comments, so that, stays with you. So generate, and we removed SPRS scoring from the top, and we remove comments. So now if I go to a control, there's no comments area over here. A couple other things to mention. When you commit the rev, export it, and we get the artifacts, we get this artifacts over here, download artifacts. And if we take a look, it's going to folder manage under each one, 311A, 311B. It's going to label for us the different areas that these artifacts are, in fact, attached. So that is, and because we're talking about artifacts, we're going to go in here and mention a couple other things as well. Number one, just to reiterate, you can replace an artifact, with an old one with a new one. It maintains all those previous relationships. You click replace, drag and drop, and replace that version. So when we're replacing, we commit a new revision today. It snaps a line, takes these artifacts with all the updates, and makes a new compressed zip file. So that's the important of revisions. Cannot stress that enough. Now, we have that formal export with the the attachments and the PDF, but we can also export a list of all of the artifacts here, which is also a helpful it's also a helpful piece, because it lists out all the artifacts. It tells us where they're attached and all that. So that's an additional helpful document to provide to an assessor. And lastly, I realize I'm taking up so much time here, but I really think that these things are important. What was the last thing? Oh yeah, tracking tasks. So that's going to be in this poem area here. Every task that you create is going to be here. We can export a list of the tasks in a CSV. There's also going to be the task report that we can generate on demand or recurring as well. So all tasks are going to show up over here. So let me address these couple questions, and then we'll move on, and I'll hand things over to Corey. So, question from Ricardo: is it possible to create the SSP as a single item? For example, 311 ABCD instead of 311A, 311B. The question is because I have an SSP fully implemented without specifying letter by letter, only one text for 311. So no, there's not an ability to summarize at the control level. Within NeQter, there's going to be 320 addressable assessment objectives for CMMC. So because I know that there have been there are other GRCs. Sometimes they summarize to that level. We've actually gotten feedback from several assessors, several lead CCAs that say, we like the ability to be prescriptive and go to the AO level, because then there's no ambiguity. I know certain SSPs, they have it where you say, I have 311, and then you summarize and you label in the paragraph A, B, C, D, and that's fine, but it does leave the door open for interpretation, which the biggest thing come assessment time, you want to, as much as possible, put the blinders on, the assessor chew their food for them. Here is specifically stated how we do things. So unfortunately, no, it doesn't break down, or rather roll up to that level. The best thing that I could suggest in terms of taking that and putting that in NeQter is leveraging the rapid entry section that we added a couple versions ago, which will allow you to expand out and then copy paste in bulk So if you want to, like, take that paragraph, and have it labeled out, and then say, okay, this sentence goes here, this sentence goes here, this sentence goes, you know this sentence goes here. This is going to be the fastest way for you to transition those different statements that you already have into NeQter. So copy paste, multi add, multi change, and then bulk add and save into here. That's going to be your best workflow to shift over. So again, fortunately, it's not the way that we have it, but over the course of several years, the recommendation has been to break out at the AO level. So which can seem redundant, but again leaves little ambiguity for interpretation. So I just changed all those things, and I can see, um, when I click into the control, it will show me, essentially all of the changes that we made, with the change log. So I think that was everything I wanted to cover. Oh, let me just tackle that last question related to logs. So Jordan has a question on the log side of the equation. Ricardo, hopefully I answered your question. I know it's not what you maybe wanted to hear, but that's the best way to get that content into NeQter in a speedy way. And then also Janet, hopefully that answered your question related to labeling things from a draft standpoint. Jordan, speaking of your handling access logs, I have an issue with the user sending 500,000 logs in a week. That is a lot. Found out event ID 4673 privileged process access is happening because a third-party application tied to his keyboard was firing every single keystroke. Yikes. Is there a way to limit on an application level when a log is raised sent on the agent? I'm unsure. That's more of a, so I'll answer your question one of two ways. One, that will it depends on the Windows side, the level of specificity that you're able to achieve. I'm unsure. We can't change at the agent level. um you can change, obviously, which logs that you're getting at the agent side. So if we go to agents, we go to, edit this group, we go to Windows logs, choose event IDs. You specifically mentioned 4673, which I have turned on. Obviously, number one, you can turn that off on the agent side. If you wanted to separate that user out, make a group just for that user, and turn that specific log off for that a host, you could potentially do that. The other avenue would be is if you wanted to receive all of those logs and then just not visualize them. That would be the best use case would be in coming to the settings area, going to the log tuner, and this is going to allow us to filter out unwanted values from the visualization standpoint. The logs will no longer be included in the dashboard visualizations. They aren't dropped. They're still searchable. It will just reduce the footprint of storage of needing to, visualize that. So we would need to come in here. We would need to, you know, I'm just trying to think of filtering the specific value. You might be able to filter out at the, so we're going to go over here. Let's see, where is, yeah. So we have this Windows one, but, so basically, just looking here, I don't know why it's not listed on my side here, but, yeah, it's not listed in the index pattern for whatever reason on my demo. So that's an issue on my side. But basically, you'll find the because I know there's like a service if that executable is defined or that certain service is listed in the logs, that we can find that service and we can tune that out from here, so then it won't show on the dashboard side. So that might be worth opening up a ticket and having us kind of explore per head together and see if we can tune that out so that you can capture that event code for everyone else, but just kind of I made him delete the software. I mean, that's sure, um, absolutely. Um, there isn't a bit, yeah. So that is how we get those pesky, noisy. The reference I always mention is kind of if there's like in the audit log area for file auditing, specifying I don't want this backup utility, tune that out so then my Windows file server dashboard is not ruined by that backup utility, right? Like I mentioned in the previous use case. But yeah, obviously going to the user and saying, we're not playing this game, delete. Um, that's also kind of concerning that it's just logging that much. That's so yes, let's have a sidebar and talk about that. But for everyone else, that is how we can tune things out, find the appropriate index, filter the specific value at a field level, so that we don't get that on um, the dashboard and eat up our storage and ruin our visualizations. So that being said, I didn't think I was going to talk that long. So I apologize, but hopefully all worthwhile. Um, So, Corey, I'm gonna hand things over to you to talk about our recent events and what have you, because sure everyone's tired of hearing from me. So,
Awesome. Well, since our last town hall, we've been to two events. First, we went to San Diego for CS5. We got to meet a lot of different partners there, had a lot of great discussions about just like the ecosystem and kind of where we're seeing people struggling with CMMC. But yeah, we had a lot of partner conversations. We got to see a bunch of you over at San Diego as well. And unofficially, I think the highlight was us going to In and Out for the first time. But we'll see. And then after that, about a week later, we went to Gillette Stadium. Local for us, Pat was actually on the planning committee for the NDIA cyber event at Gillette, and that was great. We love the local NDIA event. We always have a great time. We love seeing a lot of our local clients and partners, and just having a good time. And then coming up, we have a couple. Next week, we're heading to Detroit, Michigan for the Michigan Defense Expo. Really looking forward to this one. Really looking forward to just being surrounded by a lot of members of the DIB. Excited to have a lot of conversations. And if you guys are going, please let us know. We're going to be at booth number 9016, so feel free to come over. We're going to have our Nespresso machine, of course, so you'll be able to you can share a cup of coffee together and have a good conversation. Then, a couple months following that, we'll be local again. We'll be at Sanidia, Newport, Rhode Island. Once again, if any of you are attending, please let us know. More than welcome to stop by our booth. And if there's any events local to any of you that you would like us to attend, let us know. We may be able to go. We want to go where just we feel like some of the DIB will be and some of where our clients will be. So definitely let us know if there's an event near you that you would like to attend, and maybe we can meet you there. So recently, we also had the opportunity to speak with Trevor Peters from OKSI. Um, this was highlighted on our LinkedIn, and we have the case study on our website, but I didn't want to go through some of the highlights. So Trevor joined OKSI directly out of the military. He joined through an internship through the SkillBridge internship program, and they were not compliant yet, so he was, kind of thrown into the weeds where he had to, kind of figure out compliance, figure out, just, like, all these cybersecurity practices, and kinda get his mind wrapped around it, and after some, like, internal shifts, he actually ended up leading it, and when he joined, NeQter was already a thing, so, NeQter was already implemented there, so he got kinda thrown into NeQter and, used a lot of our support to get the ground running. So we really wanted to highlight him, highlight OKSI. So like I said, he joined. Challenge was he was kind of new to CMMC, new to cybersecurity, right out of the military. And NeQter wasn't really set up to be what it was most capable for. So they had some early stage logging and vulnerability tracking wasn't quite set up yet. Their policies and procedures for CMMC were incomplete, and there had a lot of compliance gap and unmet assessment objectives. And just kind of going through all those complex CMMC compliance practices, it's a struggle when you get thrown into it for the first time. So, kind of once he was able to get into the tool, OKSI was able to swiftly move away from confusion and towards a robust system-driven compliance model. They realized that they had access, or Trevor realized he had access to all these tools, the SIEM, vulnerability scanner, and inventory tracker, as well as a policy builder with NeQter Comply. And he was really able to start building this CMMC compliance program from the ground up with NeQter just at the helm. Then, after 16 months of actually being at OKSI, they actually passed their CMMC level 2 certification with zero findings. That's quite an accomplishment. That's a great amount of time for someone that knows what they're doing, and even better, even larger, a better amount of time for someone that just kind of got thrown into the weeds. So, yeah, certification in 16 months, they had a perfect 110 out of 110. And obviously, they're able to maintain their DoD eligibility and maintain their competitive advantage in the marketplace. So, really, just congratulations to Trevor and OKSI for this accomplishment. We're really proud of you. If there's anyone else that is working towards compliance and enjoying using NeQter, or if you have passed an assessment, let us know. We really want to congratulate you and just know how you did it. And obviously, if you would like and give us the opportunity to, we would love to talk to you about it and just showcase your story on our website. And if anyone wants to read more about this case study, Pat posted it in the comments.
So yeah, I think that's everything. I very tool heavy. Talking about spring cleaning, just because I go on a different, either demos or talking with clients, and it's always a, hey, look, did you know about this or know about that? So we're looking to, I'm gonna pair up with Corey and do a better job of maybe making some short form videos and talking about just different things people might be missing or forget about or might want to use better. And yeah, I know a couple of you I see in the chat, and I'm like, oh man, I owe this guy an email, or oh man, because we've just been traveling to meet with certain people, or going to client sites, and with maybe I'll cover this next time. um let's see. Oh, actually, I see a question real quick. Who is their C3PAO? um I think, let me see. I'm unsure. We have to go back and look at the notes. However, um I
Yeah, Pat,
forget.
it was Cyber9.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, Cyber Nines did their assessment. I also know that again, fortunately, NeQter has gone through, maybe next time we'll cover this. One of our preeminent partners, MSP partners, Brightline out of Michigan, recently, well, I think they need to officially announce, but I think their assessment was um recently wrapped up, and they are receiving L2. Oh, is that um yeah, yeah. I don't want to talk out of school. I don't want to talk out of school. Nick, yeah, there's Nick. So maybe we'll do that on next month. We'll feature that. But the good thing with NeQter is we've had several different C3PAO teams pass pass NeQter, or rather, my biggest thing and keeps me up at night is having NeQter contribute to a finding. We never want that. So that has not happened. But we also want to talk to people who even not to just blast and say, "Hey, everyone, this person passed." We want to talk to you that have passed or gone through the process and understand what do we do well, what do we need to do better. What caused friction in the assessment. What is there a report that we can make? Is there a rehash of the compliance guide that we can do? Whatever we can do to contribute to be better to the tool set is our number one priority. Um, and then also, I'm sure some of you have seen in the news. It broke yesterday, and didn't get a chance to cover it today. But having the right MSP or person who is in charge of your um, uh, CMMCL2 environment and understanding your shared responsibility matrix and who owns what and who has access to what and how much liability that you might be exposed to in terms of the different external service providers that you use is highly important because they might just fold up and go bankrupt and leave you blowing in the wind, like recently happened this past weekend to a major provider in the space. So um, there needs to be more. A lot of it is rumor based right now, so I don't want to call anyone out directly. But as things shore up, I'm sure we'll talk more possibly next month about that risk. And I feel very bad for the employees of said company and as well as their clients, because unfortunately, because of how entrenched the provider was in the client environments, there's 15 or so clients of theirs that had L2 and need to get recertified because of the fallout. So that's obviously not an optimal outcome. Um, and definitely want to avoid. So yeah, so we're going to keep trying to be dynamic with these town halls, obviously covering features, but also bringing you, the news and updates in the ecosystem that you want to know about. And then as well, of course, we have these, we host them, we record them, and we put them on our YouTube. So we're just going to put our link in there again. Um, but but yeah, any and all questions, feel free to reach out to us as you navigate identifying and picking C3PAOs, identifying and picking external service providers, whether they be consultants or MSPs or what have you. We know what works. We know who's gotten past. We know who is market leading. So please feel free to leverage us as a resource. Um, Corey, is there anything I've missed? We filled up the full hour. It's been a long time since we've done that, so appreciate everyone who stayed on, listening to us talk.
No, nothing else from me.
All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up. Appreciate everyone and their time today. Hopefully you have a good Cinco de Mayo, and we will catch everyone next month, and maybe in person in between. So appreciate everyone's time and have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.